We're back then with another exotic and legendary set preview from Marvel's Avengers. We'll be having a look at Spider-Man's gear. We have all 5 different sets that are available. I've made up some infographics for them. They will be available in the next few days on my Discord, and what I'll do is I'll break them down and I'll give my opinion on them and let you know if any of them are actually worth farming. Now, before we jump in, 2 things. 1, if you're enjoying the video, take the time to hit a like, share, subscribe button, leave a comment below. That is exceptionally important. YouTube only really recommends videos if people are actually engaging with them, so if you're watching this, you're enjoying it, leave a comment right now. And secondly, big shout out and thanks to Crispin, Luke, Crix, Sesh and Yardrat. They helped collate the information so I could actually do this. Now with that out of the way, let's jump in and let's start breaking these down. So we start off here looking at the elite bosses. So this is your elite villain sectors. You're limited to 2 of these a day via your dailies. Looking at slot 1 and 2, you've got your variable effects on the first 2 perks, and then the third perk will actually be a random one that applies to all legendary sets. The third perk is random, so I can't recommend slots 1 or 2. Looking at slot 3, this is pretty amazing, this one. You've got Wrecking Ball Protector, so increase the damage and duration of Spider Sense by 3 seconds while Wrecking Ball is active. Now the Spider Sense buff, when you actually dodge when you've got it, it adds impact to your attacks, so you can stagger enemies. So this is really nice, so you can just juggle them essentially and they can't hit back, so you can build up your intrinsic on Spider-Man. So fantastic perk, this one. The next one is Wrecking Ball Rampage. Fantastic again. Defeating enemies while Wrecking Ball is active will extend the duration of the ability by 2.5 seconds. I actually use this in the build guide I done recently for Spider-Man, and with this you can get unlimited uptime essentially on the buff that comes alongside Wrecking Ball, so I definitely recommend this gear piece. Looking at the heroic slot here, you've got Wrecking Ball Extension. Increase the duration of Wrecking Ball by 9.5 seconds. This is pretty pointless when you look at the perk on the slot 3. You would much rather get 2.5 seconds for every defeat over a flat 9 seconds, which will eventually run out. The second perk is Web Bomb Reprieve. This one, enemies defeated by Web Bomb have a % chance to drop a regen pack, so this is pretty garbage, this one. If it was maybe a heroic orb or intrinsic orb, it could be okay, but as it stands for this particular set, the only one I would recommend would be the slot 3, that's the defensive slot. So this set here drops from your elite vaults. When you're running the vault and you complete it, it will disappear from the map. When that happens, if you want it to show back up again, then go into Day of the Remains and go into the vaults within that particular stage. There are 2 of them, and there'll be a chest with a little vault icon. That's got a chance of dropping a vault key. But looking at the different slots here, the melee one first, you've got Spider Wreckage. Enemies hit by Wreckage takedowns are marked by Spider Signal. Enemies defeated while debuffed drop a regen pack. This is garbage. If it was heroic orbs, it might be worthwhile, but it's not worth using a slot just for really getting a regen pack dropping. They drop all over the place as it is. For your range slot 2, Spinneret Generator. Ranged attacks build up a small amount of Wreckage intrinsic energy. I can't recommend this one because you'd be giving up your damage buff for this particular slot. And then you've got your defensive one, Auto Defensive Stance. A % chance to automatically activate defensive stance when taking damage, completely negating the attack. This is actually pretty nice on them because of course when you get hit you lose intrinsic energy, so this is a chance for you not to lose that energy and build it up for a takedown. And then you've got Spider Drone Cunning. The Spider Drone deals status effect damage based on what type of range status gear is equipped. This is actually really pretty awesome because what you can do is you can fire this off, it'll give you a particular battery type on an enemy, and then you use your melee attacks with an opposite status, and then you can get your battery effect nice and easy on them. So I actually really like this one. I would recommend farming this gear piece. Looking at the slot 4, the heroic one, you've got Signal Deconstructor. Enemies defeated while debuffed by the Spider Signal will drop an additional regen pack, intrinsic orb or heroic orb, so it's a slight upgrade in just the regen pack, but it's still not great due to the RNG with it. And then Spider Drone Generator. The Spider Drone emits a conductive field, giving all defeated near it a chance to drop an intrinsic orb. This one is decent, but not entirely sure I would use it. The slot 3 though, the defensive one, could be fun. It's one that I'm actually going to try and get and test myself. Next up here we have the Elite Hives. That's the 6th floor hives. You can run as much as you want. The melee slot 1 here, Web Pool Instinct. Defeating an enemy with Web Pool restores Wreckage, intrinsic energy and heroic energy and 5% health. This is a decent amount you're getting it, but it's very specific that it has to be Web Pool that actually defeats the enemy, which kind of kills this slot, to be honest, so I wouldn't recommend this one. Looking at the range slot 2, Spider Drone Surprise. The Spider Drone detonates, dealing web damage when the timer ends, given it's got, I think it's something like a 30-second timer, so I wouldn't really recommend this. Having a random blast after 30 seconds isn't useful at all. You then get Snare Blast. Range attacks with Web Blast deal increased web damage. Once again, can't really recommend this. Looking at the defensive slot 3, Web Bomb Amplification, so a % increased critical chance in all damage of Web Bomb against webbed enemies, so that's your assault heroic, so you'll be more likely to get a crit with it and you'll do more damage with it as well. Pretty niche, but something different. And then Untouchable Sense. Gain Spider Sense after defeating enemies with web attacks and extended duration of the ability by 1.2 seconds. Overall, I don't think I could recommend using this slot, not over the other ones we've already looked at, which are actually really pretty amazing. Finishing up with the heroic one here, we've got Rampant Web Bomb, so you gain an extra web bomb charge that synergizes with the slot 3, so you can fire out 2 of them at a time, and you've got the increased crit chance and so on and damage if enemies are webbed up. And then Spider Drone Extension, increase the duration of Spider Drone by 10 seconds. Now I think potentially you could get 100% uptime on the Spider Drone with this, because it's very close to that without it, and the Spider Drone can do a decent amount of damage. Pair it up with the one where the Spider Drone can do your status effect, you could maybe get something quite fun here if you stacked Valor. So if you do actually try that out, let me know how it gets on, but I'll probably try it out myself if I do get the time. So the only one that I'd potentially use, because I'm a little bit intrigued by it, would be the slot 4 for the extra 10 seconds on the Spider Drone, just for a fun build to see if you could build round that. So we're now on to the exotic sets here. So this comes from your Elite Heroic Hive. That's a 14 floor hive. There's a low chance for the exotics to actually drop at the end of it. This is essentially the Vault set. It's a Public Menace set. The only difference with it is the bottom perks are actually set. So I'm not going to talk about perks 1 and 2 because we've already discussed them. But looking at your melee one here, you've got Spinneret Prestige. Reduce the web ammo cost of web shooter power attacks by 20%. That's just far too niche. If it was all web attacks, might be decent, but just power attacks, it's just garbage. It's far too niche a perk such as this. I really wish they would stop doing perks like this. Looking at the ranged one, you've got Terror Extension. So this one, enemies remain webbed by web terror and an additional 5 seconds. From a crowd control perspective, if you're going purely for that and you're not bothered too much about damage, it could actually be decent. 5 seconds is a fair amount of time. Looking at the slot 3, this is the one that had Spider Drone Cunning as well. We add the status to the Spider Drone, so I actually like this particular one. The third perk I think it's pretty decent as well actually. It's Sense Purity. Increase the damage resistance and duration of Spider Sense by 2 seconds. So once again with Spider Sense, that makes it easier for you to actually stagger enemies. So actually when I think about it, this is a good one to actually try and go for. Looking at the heroic one here, you've got Dramatic Taunt. Using your emote taunts nearby enemies and reduces their damage by 10%. I'm wondering if that means like your actual emote that you do by pressing up on the D-pad. It's not entirely clear. It'd be interesting to see if it is, because Spider-Man does not get one for free, so it would mean that the game is officially pay to win if this is how it plays out. And yes, I'm kidding a bit before you go wild in the comments below about me saying it. But that's that set there. So the second one, maybe if you're going full on crowd control, or the second slot if you're going full on crowd control, might work, and the third slot is one that's definitely interesting. So this one here comes from your priority missions. You can do it once a week, so you've only got a chance of getting one of these, unfortunately. So this of course is an exotic set, and it's the exotic version of the Great Responsibility set, which came from your elite bosses. It's actually a really good set. Looking at the melee slot 1 here, you've got Wrecking Ball Enhancer as a third perk down, so 20% increased damage reduction in all normal damage while Wrecking Ball is active. That's absolutely amazing. I would recommend going for that. You've then got the ranged one. So with the ranged one, it's Wrecking Ball Breaker, 25% increased damage while Wrecking Ball is active. Once again, that's really pretty awesome, to be honest. You're using slot 1 and 2, that's 45% increased damage there, but just bear in mind you will be missing out your damage buff. You need to get it from somewhere else. Looking at the third perk down on the defensive one, and the defensive one was really good because it extended your Wrecking Ball buff, but the third perk down is Spinneret Destruction. 15% increase in status, crit chance and damage of web shooter attacks. If you're going for a hybrid build that's firing off webs relatively often, then that's going to be pretty great as well. And then the bottom one for your heroic is Web Bomb Extension. Enemies remain webbed by Web Bomb an additional 5 seconds. That's actually really pretty great as well, although the first 2 perks that we actually looked at earlier on and we discussed are not worth going for. So for this one here, I would say that slots 1, 2 and 3 are actually all really pretty amazing, and I would say you want to farm them on Spidey. So that is all the legendary and exotic sets. Overall, they're still not there with gear at all. This last set we've looked at is actually really good, but the other ones are all really pretty underwhelming. But do let me know what you think of these in the comments below. The infographics for them will be available on my Discord in the next day or two. I'll put a link to it in the description below. And yeah, if the video's been helpful at all, take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button, leave a comment. And thanks for tuning in, stay safe, and I'll see you all again soon.